Okay, yet another launch lecture with new Mevo in Rotterdam. So Amsterdam, if you have any feedback about the sound or image quality, let us know. It should be a short one today because I'm just going to show you 5 new features of the new Principle, which is in beta right now. For those who have used Principle before, okay, that's basically everyone. And who's used the new beta, which has been out in for a week? Yeah? Okay, just one? Okay, that's good. This means I'm not telling old stuff this time. So yeah, just to show the 5 new features. There's a lot of new stuff going on, but I just want to highlight the top 5. The first one is improved video controls, where currently in Principle you only have the option to load in the image or load in the video, and it either just plays or it doesn't play at all, and you have no control over it whatsoever. In the new beta, they offer a lot more control over your video, so you can actually prototype a real video player or a music player if you'd like, which we do a lot, of course, for our projects, so it could come into handy. And here's a little demo, so you can press play, the video just starts playing, you can pause the video again and play it again, and you can scrub through videos.
Fail down here so we don't fail up there.
Honey in a laugh.
So,
Planning on the flight being successful.
and you can even change the volume all the way to 0.
It'll go up like a half kiloton A-bomb if it blows.
So basically you have full control over your video, which could be very handy in some projects, of course. And the nice thing is actually that if you look into it, you don't have to learn anything new, because what they did is just use the drivers. I don't know who's familiar with drivers, but you can already use drivers to like manipulate the shape or color of your shapes, and now you can also manipulate media time of your videos or the media volume. So you don't need to learn anything new, you just use the same old drivers, and now you can control time and volume with those same drivers. So it's really easy. So that's one case of where video controls come in handy. Another case could be, for example, if you want to create a scrolling page with a complex animation that can only be created in After Effects, for example. Like Principle's really linear and only uses basic shape. In After Effects you can do all this organic stuff, but now you can control these organic movements with drivers in Principle. So for example, if you have a scrolling page and you want to load a illustrated or animated illustration into your web page, for example, you can control it through your scroll. So you can just use that on the timeline. So that might be another interesting case to use these video controls. So that was one main new feature. Another one is playback control, which is a real, what do I say, time saver. Because currently there's no option to play your videos in slow motion in Principle. You have to go to the timeline, stretch it to like 10 seconds, and then you can analyze what's happening. So like an animation like this, which goes really fast, you can't really see what happens to the cross. So they added an update where it's really simple actually. You just press shift and you click and then it plays it in slow motion. And when you release it, it goes again. So that's a huge improvement. And also when you're working on the actual timeline, you can click a animation line, and when you hover over the timeline, it automatically just shows you how the animation goes. So it's really nice. It's a huge improvement, and it can save a lot of time because you can actually analyze your animations very well as well. So that's playback control. Next one is save easing curves. It's already in the title. If you tend to reuse a lot of easing curves when you're on a project because you want some consistency, of course. So let's say you've created an easing curve like this one, which you really like, with a little bounce and a slow animation back, and you want to apply this to all your other shapes that zoom in, like this one for example. What you do is, well, you go to this one. Of course, you have this curve right here, which is custom right now. And you can even tweak a little bit, so you want to make it real short like this, and make the deceleration a bit longer, for example. And all you have to do is now press this plus button. And you can give it a name, new curve, for example. And now it's saved to your default easing curves, so you can reuse this curve throughout your whole project. So for example, if I want to apply the same curve to this shape, we had a default spring here, and the way back use this new curve. Okay, so now this new curve is there, and apply the same amount of seconds, 50. So now it's got the same animation, if I'm not mistaken, as the other one. So, yeah. So that's also a real time saver, because before you'd either always have to use the default curves, or you'd have to recreate your own curve by typing the numbers in manually. So good update. Yeah, better export, also really nice. One of the biggest complaints about Principle was that the export was shit basically. You could export GIFs, but they've become like 10 megabytes for a short fragment, and they didn't have transparency, stuff like that. They fixed all of that now, so I'll just give you a little demo of that. Like this loader, for example, is a transparent loader with a transparent background, and once you start recording, it also starts recording instantly instead of having to wait, which was the case before. Then stop recording, and you get all these options here. Video just exports regular video, MP4, which is the most compact version. GIF is of course a GIF, but you can also now supports transparency. And you can choose the frame rate, and it's got a new file format, ProRes, which is a movie format. It exports it to MOV, why do you say that? And it also supports transparency. So let's say I would export this to my desktop, and I'll do a GIF as well while we're at it. So I'm exporting an animated GIF, and I'll close it. Go back to this instance. So now you have this GIF here with transparency in the background, which means you could technically create a loader or some other animation in Principle and hand it over directly, or load it into a web page. And this is this ProRes format, which is a bit sharper, but it also supports transparency. So you can even drag this into your Principle file, and it will also just play like the regular loader. So you have a lot more options there. They have also become a lot smaller, so instead of 10 megabytes, they are now 1 megabyte, for example. So a lot of improvements there, which is really nice. And the last one, component events. Actually, this is not one of the new features in Principle 4, but it was already out in the 3rd version. But it was a hidden feature, and not a lot of people were using it. So I want to highlight it anyway, because it is actually a really powerful way to get complex interactions onto one page. Because that was one of the criticisms of Principles. You needed a lot of artboards to get something done, which didn't make it suitable for long flows. And this should fix that. I'll show you. So I've got two components here. This is a component, tabs, and this is another component view, and the view has got 3 pages, like a list view, a grid view, and a map view. And the tab is just a simple tab component. So now in this principle 3 already, you can control one component from the other component. So just to show, that means that you can create events inside the tab component, which will direct to the other component. So one component says to the other, if I tap tab 1, then go to page 2 in this component. So I made that with these ones. This one isn't working yet, so I'll show you how you can create those. So I'll open this component. I've got this map view tab right here, and all I have to do is create a tab event like you would normally do, but instead of dragging it to another artboard, you drag it to send to parent, which is where the other component lives. And then you have to select this artboard, and then you see tab map event tab, which creates an automatic event, event 4, and you can give it its own name. For example, I'll call this view 3, and just delete this artboard quickly. So now this component, which I just added an event to, has a new custom event called view 3. So normally you would only have these normal events, and now you can create your custom events. So you just drag view 3 into this component and say, oh shit. Okay. Yes. Okay, go to map. So all it does redirects to the map view. And if all goes well, then yeah. Now this works as well. So you can imagine you can reuse components like toggles or tabs, rezoom pages, and have them linked to different components or other artboards, which is also a time saver. So that was number 5. Yeah, if you haven't done so already, you can try out the beta. There's a lot more features actually than these 5 I've just shown you. They're all related to them somehow, but goes a bit further. Yeah, you can give it a try if you want. If not, then it will probably come out in a few weeks, and you can try it then. That's it.
Nice.
Questions?
Animated SVGs, that's in the plan?
No. Well, not currently. So we still have the movies and GIFs. Who knows what the future will bring, but now it's only these 2. Yeah. Yeah? Any from Amsterdam?
30 seconds delay.
Oh yeah, it does have a delay. Is it really 30 seconds?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe when does Principle 4 actually come out?
Yeah, they didn't mention when it comes out. They didn't mention the date, but usually it happens within a few weeks after the beta.
Okay. Cool. Looks nice.
Yep. No questions. All right. Thank you.